All right. Awesome. So
Okay,
this
awesome.
video,
Okay,
this
I see
video
it.
is
Everything is lit up on my screen. My phone is announcing many things at once. Okay.
word. So this video is going to be massively unedited. It's just going to be on our website, on at least my YouTube channel. We should probably just start an Inbox Bros channel now that we're getting more into this space.
Hmm.
So reason we wanted to put this video on our website now is you probably recently, if you're a marketer, got a campaign and saw some wild emails that are not normal to see in your inbox. And so just wanted to talk about why we're focusing on marketing agencies. To answer your questions, no, he didn't actually throw a foam laptop at me, but it's,
I
that is
might.
kind of,
I might later.
yeah, he would, that's kind of the deal. I love to put personality into emails. So why we're focusing on marketers is because Sal and I both have background in marketing, and just we've got backgrounds beyond that. His is mainly in financial, but he's run through several different businesses. I've run several different businesses, and we definitely understand marketing and what it takes to have a successful marketing agency. We also know the grind, and
Hmm.
so things like right now, I've got this weird thing behind me. I'm normally rocking a nice vest and I'm dressed to the nines, and now I'm in
Uh,
a hoodie and a hat. It could because I had to take a sudden trip to Kansas for a couple
I'm
of
in a
months with
sweater.
my family. Yeah, yeah. We're both, and he's having tech issues all morning. The
Hmm.
reason most marketers love what they do, even though it's a hard grind, is because they like the flexibility that comes with this life. So yeah, it's stressful, but they're in love with the entrepreneurial journey that's being able to roll with the punches like this and control your own trajectory in life. And so,
Absolutely.
yeah,
No,
and
go
I
on, go on,
know,
go on.
like,
I'll let you talk. Go
yeah,
on.
yeah. So it's basically, marketing agencies have it rough. They usually get their start and with friends and family. It's kind of like IT guys, right? They get their start in friends and family. They really find some success, then they get some referrals, and then all of a sudden they're doing like 6 or 7 different kinds of marketing for friends and family plus referrals. Then they're so busy that they, for one, aren't making enough money because it's friends, family, and referrals, but
Mhm.
two, they can't really, they want to streamline, like they always want to niche down. And I know we talked about this before, but it's like they always want to niche down, but they can't seem to find the time to get those new clients. And then they have clients that they want to upsell new services, but they don't have the capacity to gain the new skills and provide more service. So they're kind of like stuck. So they love the life that they live, but they're also stressed because price of living is going up. They can't raise prices on their customers because then they'll lose some revenue.
Exactly.
Anyway, I could go on and on, but
Well,
that's why
I was just
we're
gonna,
focusing
I
mainly
was
on
just gonna kind
inbox.
of
Yeah,
piggyback
go
off
ahead.
of you. Yeah, they're stuck between a hard place and a rock, right? And so kind of really where we're able to help out in that situation is to be that helping hand to buy them the time that they don't have, right? So they don't have the time to go and find a new marketing method to get new clients. So they don't have that time to just outside of their own schedule altogether. So what's really imperative is to be able to say, look, I know what I need to do. I understand what I need to do, but I just can't do it because of X, Y, and Z reason. Let me find someone who for me. And I think once the business owner gets to that point and realizes that's their situation, then they can say, okay, I found someone who can be effective like us, to help me really solve my problem, which is, in all honesty, just getting new clients, and
Yeah.
helping their business grow. So this is the key part, all right? This is the imperative part. And yeah, I know you mentioned, about me coming back from a financial background and just not just in finance or in marketing, but really in every industry. Um, it's just, what is your industry? So the problem is always the same, just the industry is different. Right. So the fact that, Jose is amazing at creating wonderful, magical emails. He just showed me some of the emails that he made for our newest campaign and had me laughing. So he's great at that, just getting someone really engaged in what they have to do, what we have to say, what is to be said. And then, I'll come in on my side and say, okay, well then, how do we get these emails out to people, or what is the effective method, or kind of looking at the software and the tools and all the programming behind. So Joe, I mean, it's the blend of the two together really is something that would be beneficial for all parties involved. So
Yeah,
it's a good space. It's a good space.
yeah, it's fantastic. It's like, yeah, for those of you who don't know already, but I mean, the emails that you just received are like super true. Like he's very serious, like data driven. He is looking at analytics. He's a data guy, and I'm just like the personality and stuff like that. We make a great team, but like on the other side of it, there's so much that Sal does that's, most marketers, when they dig into doing lead generation, because a lot of them do dabble with it a little bit, either for themselves or for some of their clients, they realize it's really hard because stuff is constantly changing. It's like just this morning, we found that like half of a test campaign went to spam for Gmail for no apparent reason. Now we got to dig in and find what's
Mhm.
going on with that. And Sal's kind of the Sherlock behind that. Is he's always figuring out, okay, what Google, all the email service providers are trying to do is, for one, keep spammers and hackers out of
Mhm.
their users. But second of all, they want their users to have a pleasant experience in their inbox. And nobody wants to get 1,000 emails a day in their inbox. It's just not ideal. So we got to figure out how to get a real message out to real people. And it can be tricky to jump through those hoops that the email service providers want you to jump through, because they don't tell you exactly what it is on purpose.
You have to figure that out. And it's funny actually, because I was having a conversation with a friend of mine. Actually, it's just a friend of mine, an associate of mine, I should say. And anyway, he was telling me about an email campaign that he is trying to launch of himself. And he's like, I scrape the leads, and this is the customer clientele that I'm trying to reach out. And I did a campaign, but I got back no responses, and I don't know why. And I said to him, and I'm like, you need to tell me a lot more than just that. That is very vague. Like, there's 1,000 reasons as to why you couldn't get a response. And I was immediately thinking, I'm like, what does your campaign look like? Not in the sense of what you crafted, right? But I'm like, how is your email health, right? What domains are you using? How many emails are you sending out per day? How frequent are you doing follow-ups in your campaign? And then even so, I'm like, have you checked your fields and all? And he's like, oh, his eyes like lit up. He's like, I don't know any of these things. And I'm like, of course. I'm like, there's a million reasons why you couldn't get a response. And it was kind of funny. Because just from, talking with him and I get what he's doing. I get like she's trying to get new clients. But like a lot of businesses, they don't know how to do it. Or maybe they think they know how to do it. They go on YouTube and they're like, let me watch a 2-hour video. And they follow the exact steps on YouTube and they're like, but it didn't work. Well, of course it didn't work.
Yeah, it changed last month.
Right?
or today. It's like, yeah, I mean, and before we get too nerdy, I mean, like I would love to believe everybody's just in love with copywriting and everybody's in love with email marketing, but the truth is, like, what's in it for the marketers? And I think the main thing is you don't have time to figure all this stuff out, but there's a lot of revenue in it. I mean, I think we're doing a really cool thing. We're blending two of the most lucrative industries together, right? So two of the most lucrative industries is sales, particularly finance sales, but sales in general. People doing sales make a lot of money because you are making other people money, and that marketers are kind of in that space, right? If you're doing things to get people more revenue, you are really valuable to them. They will always pay you a little bit of that, whether it comes in the form of a retainer or in a percentage of the revenue. Like, they're always going to keep you around because you keep them making more revenue. So we've got sales with the lead generation, but we've also got entertainment. The entertainment industry is like the second most lucrative industry in the world because that's like a common need of ours. And I would say not Maslow's hierarchy of needs, but it's there for real. Like, we want to be entertained. If we have our basic needs met, we really want to be entertained. And so what we're really doing is we're combining the two. We're selling and entertaining at the same time. And like our slogan is, emails people want to read, because that's, for one, we do a lot of work. Sal does a ton of work on the back end to get the email to the inbox to begin with. And then I do a lot of work to make sure that that thing is pleasant to read, that is fun to read, that they actually go all the way through. I use frameworks that do a really good job of selling. So if you even got on this website because of an email, I did a good job of grabbing your attention, speaking to your real desires, being applicable and relevant, and giving you a really good offer. There's a really cool framework that I think is very, very true. It's that when you do marketing, it's 50% the people that you're talking to in a successful campaign. 50% is of the success is due to reaching out to the right people. And 30% of the success is the offer that you have, and 20% is the copy. And that stabs me in the heart as a copywriter, but it's true. Like, if you have the best copy in the world, but you're sending to the wrong people, it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
If you have the best copy in the world and you have a crappy offer, it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
So yeah, exactly. So all of that stuff has to play together. Yeah, it's all got to be in line. And we have put a lot of hours and a lot of repetitions into doing that well. And we want to do that for marketers now. We've got our own clients, but it's like, man, like, where do we go from here? We could just keep doing this, or we could like really help our brethren here. It's like our brothers and sisters in the field that are just like struggling. I have really good friends in the marketing industry that I'm working with now, and they're like, yeah, this is much better. So that's what we're excited about. I think one more thing I wanted to say before you chime in again is, I don't remember which marketer said it, very famous marketer, especially in the email world. He talks about email. He likes to compare it to physical mail that you get in your real mailbox. So in your real mailbox, when you're sorting mail, you know, you go through and you instantly know, oh, trash, trash, trash. I don't know. Put this in the pile. Oh, I do know. I want to read this. Put that over there. Trash, trash, trash. And that's like, I want to write that email, this like the I don't know, before they read it. And then quickly it turns into, oh, yes, I do know. I want to read these. These are funny. Yep. And so that's really our goal, both in lead generation, which is, it's very rare to find that kind of email and lead generation. And then especially in e-commerce, like all of the brands that I'm working with now, all of their competitors are doing the same thing. 20% off sale, 60% off sale, buy one, get one free sale. It's like all super templated, and like everybody else, I'm like, dude, no, like, we're going to do something different. We're going to be real. We're going to be human. Exactly. Yeah. And it's just that it's that advertisement in your physical mailbox that you throw in the trash. So definitely excited. It works. It's easy. I get to be fun and human instead of being like super robot like I was when I first got started in lead gen. But
that's funny.
Anyway,
well, you know, I was just gonna mention towards the very last part is, you know, authenticity, like being authentic, right? Having like a genuine connection with somebody. If you're just sending, you know, generic ads or look like emails, not only is that most likely just going to get caught in the spam filter, not to get sent to the inbox anyway, but even if it does happen to pass the spam filter, it's still not going to get read. Or it's going to get sorted in like the promotions tabs if you have Gmail that no one ever looks at. Like I have 1,000 things of promotions from, like, you know, Capital One, Discover, Amex, whatever, and I'm like, nope. So only in my primary inbox, and also Apple, they where they redid their email inbox also kind of in that same structure, which has thrown me for a loop, and I'm still annoyed that they did that. But anyway, the key point is now, especially like if you're sending an email, it's gotta land in that first inbox, because the other two don't even get looked at. And to land in that first inbox, it's got to be some sort of, you know, personal connection. It can't just be like cookie cutter ad, or, you know, you buy one get one free.
Yeah,
something like this, which is what so many businesses do. Is to your point. So it is very imperative that it is a personal, and even with that personal part, also in the sense of what I'm doing, like the data outreach. You know, you mentioned finding that right person. I mean, there's finding the right person, having the right offer, the email, but finding that right person is not only is imperative in the data outreach, but it has a little bit of a depending on what the client is looking for, right? From a marketing client, whoever it might be. So every element to it, though it is all, you know, using AI systems and so on and so forth, has a lot of personal touches to it to make the whole thing work.
Yeah. Yeah.
to drive results really.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's really important too that when we reach the right person, we're not saying the stuff that people are generally saying. So like we don't use a whole lot of um, first name, company, that kind of thing, because if the first name is wrong according to the lead source, the lead scraping source, then automatically the person's like, doesn't apply to me. Like these
Yeah.
people just bought my information from somewhere. And some people are okay with that, but most people aren't okay with that. If they've moved companies, which is frequent, you have like they can be moving companies in the week that you scrape the lead, and then all of a sudden you're using the wrong company. They know that you bought their information. So instead, we really focus on finding the right type of person, because generally they're going to have the same type of job no matter where they go, or if they're an owner, they're going to stay pretty static. But we tailor the message to no matter what their name is, no matter what company they're at, if they're that profile of person, it's going to be really applicable and relevant. I do want to talk a little bit before I want to talk about kind of the process for cold email, which Sal has his hands really deep in, and then the e-commerce and digital product, how we do that.
Yeah.
But before that, I do want to speak to if like the types of marketing agencies we want to work with. So this is gonna be like super blunt, and like if I love most marketing agency owners that I talk to. I love them to death. They're just awesome people. But I occasionally meet one that's like, they're just in it for the money. And they're doing well. They're business people to the core. They have no personality, or they have a sleazy personality. Like, I don't want to work with you at all. Like, I would highly suggest not reaching out to us, because I will tell everybody not to work with you. Like, if you're that type of person, don't bother. Don't bother. Even if you're going to make us millions, just don't even bother. But if you're someone who's like super, like you, even if you're not super fun, you're like more like Sal, who would throw a foam laptop at me.
Thanks.
Anyway, Sal's fun. Sal's fun. If you're that type of person, like definitely, like if you're vibing with this, like you're definitely wanting to get to the next level, and you're really wanting to niche down, or you've got clients that could use our services, which we're going to explain what those services are, so that you know what to look out for. Gain some more revenue without having to do anything, that all sounds really good to you, then definitely reach out to us. But seriously, I'm dead serious. I can smell it from 1,500 miles away if you are a dirtbag and just care about the money and don't give a crap about your clients. So do not reach back out to us if you're that type of person. Anyway, so yeah, let's talk about what to look out for. If somebody is like, no, I don't need any more clients, but I do know my clients need lead generation, or my clients need e-commerce, email, what are the things that we should look out for? So maybe do some explaining for your end, what B2B lead generation is, what people would want to look out for in their clients to identify that, hey, this person's a potential client that I could sell this service to.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. So from our side, after I'll just give you a rundown. After we've identified what is the niche, the demographic of what that client is looking for, I'll give you a generic point. Let's say I'm looking for individuals who have a company size of 2 to 10 people, and they're doing $20 million in revenue, and this individual is only able to work with people on the East Coast, just like a case. All right. So I go back and say, all right, I understand your base demographics of what kind of client that you're looking for, but now I need to know a bit more detail about you as a person, right? Like, what is your work type? What is your work ethic? Are you someone that communicates well with text messages, phones, emails, things of this nature? So once I find, that client, how they work, as well as that client's demographic niche of what they're looking for, then I will use the software that I have on my end. It's a mixture of things. It's Apollo, it's Instant Leads, Smart Leads, a whole bunch of things I use. Million Leads Verifier, and then to kind of pull that in all together to say, all right, here's the base target of people that I can now work with, and maybe that's a pool of 3,000 leads, 5,000 leads, 10,000 leads. It depends from there. However, how I will filter it myself, I will look to see of those leads, which ones have looked in their emails recently, which ones have a buying appetite, which ones is just more active on LinkedIn or things of that nature, right? So once that has been compiled, then from there, I'm going to test a few different email structures, a kind of A/B testing, see which one has a higher success rate. And I'm going to do that in small chunks, right? So I do that in like 300 unit chunks or 500 unit chunks of context at a time. And then I'm going to blast that out over the course of like a week just to see, what does my feedback look like? What does my responses look like? Of course, there's always going to be people that are saying, I'm not interested, ignore me, unsubscribe. That's inevitable. You're always going to have that. But then there is going to be that demographic of people that say, hey, I'm interested, or hey, what is this that you're talking about, things of that nature. And of course, our objective here, really Jose's objective, is that he always wants it to be like a one banger killer email. Like, did you just see that email the first time? And like, oh, okay, let me respond. I know that is his goal. And that is the ultimate objective. A lot of people who try to do a campaign or who do a campaign, many times they think that they're going to get a response to that first email, and many times you don't. It takes a second or even a third or even a fourth email before you get a first response. So consistently, and what was very important is being consistent with the follow-ups over an appropriate amount of days, which is where I think a lot of people miss out on. They maybe send one email, two emails, and then after, a couple of days, they let them go. Because this is someone that you can keep, unless the person has said, please unsubscribe or has blocked you. Realistically speaking, that is still a live person to keep contacting. So this is imperative. But again, once the stage is passed and, let's say I've gotten the response, then everything is kind of downhill, really, in the sense of difficulty. The hardest part is getting them to respond. Once you've actually gotten that response, right, then I could say, all right, now this is a potential client that I can work with to book for my client, right? Because the ending objective is for me to get clients for whoever we are actually working for, right? So that's kind of in a gist, really, just the sense of like how we're using that cold email structure to actually turn that person into a positive client. And even after, and of course, there's still more than just the email. You still have to, do live interaction with this individual. There's lots of videos, there's lots of conferencing, there's a lot of things that we have to do on our end before it even gets to the client side. So email surely is like the first half of it, but as I said before, that personal touch is what's actually going to close the deal, which is the second half to this whole thing. So the two in tandem really go. It's imperative. They must go together.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, you can see now there's a lot of work that goes into getting some people to respond. So the type of person that, like, if you're a marketing agency and you're like, I've got enough clients, but I do want to provide lead gen services to my clients, but I don't know who really needs that kind of thing. It's any business that is a business that sells to or services other businesses. So it wouldn't be like a lawn care business because they sell to consumers, unless they're a lawn care that only does, upkeep of other businesses, right? That kind of thing. So the reason in B2B for lead generation, it's different than advertising on Facebook or anything like that. The reason you don't do B2C is because there are some tighter restrictions, not by law, but by platform, that if you're reaching out to personal emails, they're typically way more strict, and you want a different method to reaching those people. So B2B lead generation is business to business. So if you've got some customers that are business to business, they very likely need a good engine to keep those leads coming in. And cold email is a really, really effective way. It's something where there's a lot of work to begin with to set it up, but it's pretty low maintenance once you figure it out. Whereas if you're cold calling, it's like hours in, dollars out, no matter what, hands down. So and it doesn't take as much skill. It's highly annoying.
It's exhausting. More than anything else, it is exhausting. Oh my
Some
God.
people are weird and like it.
I used to do cold calling when I worked. I mean, you know, but when I worked at Northwestern Mutual, even when I lived overseas, and the most exhausting behind the cold calling, just besides getting past that person's objection of not wanting to speak with you, is
Yeah.
then to build the trust with this person. Like getting them past the objection, in all honesty, takes about a good 5-10 minutes, and whatever that their excuse is. But even after you pass that objection, they still don't trust you.
Yeah.
And then they'll say, oh yeah, I'll meet with you, or yeah, whatever, I'll buy your product, and then they disappear. You never hear from them again.
Yeah. That touches, man, I could go on for 2 hours on this topic, but I'll touch on it just briefly. Is
Mhm.
one thing we're really focused on is living in reality. Reality is you cannot gain someone's trust over 2 minutes, right? It's
Yeah,
like
exactly.
you can definitely get them to buy something in 2 minutes, but that's not a relationship. We are like very, very focused on relationship in our business, not just
Yes.
with our clients, but with our clients' clients.
Hmm.
It's the main thing. Like you can throw contracts out the window if you don't have you can have a killer contract that keeps everybody in line. But if the
Hmm.
relationship's not there, it's hell to live in, right? It's not a good situation if you don't have good relationship, and can't build relationship over 3 lines in an email or 2 minutes on the phone. But
Exactly.
anyway, like I said, I could talk way too long on that. So, so just segueing away from B2B lead generation, whether you as an agency needs lead generation, like you need new customers, we really like to niche down for that. So we do a lot of work with you to figure out who are your best customers right now. And let's see if we can just meet most of those. We can do local. It depends. It's highly customized to your location, and you could be in the middle of New York, or you could be out in the middle of Nebraska. You could be able to reach out to only local, or you prefer only local, or you could be nationwide. There's just so many different variables that go into it. So we love to meet and figure out who's your best customer and see if we can just replicate that, right? That's the main thing agencies have to work on in order to scale, or at least in order to stop pulling as much hair out. Is like
Mhm.
you got to make things streamlined and systemized, and niching down to your best type of client, your favorite type of client, is the way to do that. And most agencies are like, yes, sign me up. Like,
Yeah.
please. So we can do that. That's the most effective type of campaign. So whether you need lead generation or your customers are B2B businesses, whether that's products or services, they need it. We can go through, and before even talking with them, we can help you figure out what would be the best system for them. And
Yeah.
then for brands and for digital products, I'll go through who does that look like. So obviously some things are pretty easy, right? So Old Navy would be a brand. Um, you know, Bush would be a brand. There are so many brands out there, Reebok, but we all know e-commerce is a booming industry. Everybody and the mother's brother has a brand, right?
Mhm.
And email is absolutely, like, I'm not biased right here. You can go fact check me up one side and down the other. Email is the most valuable thing in an e-commerce business because the main way that you get traffic to your website or to your Amazon page or whatever is through paid ads. Once you
Mhm.
have those paid ads, or once you have those customers, you typically have an email at that point, unless it's Amazon. Excuse me. What most brands don't focus on is what they do with that email once they own it. So you own that person's permission to contact them, which is incredibly valuable. Like Sal's
Mhm.
whole job, almost whole job, is focusing on getting past all the barriers to get in their main inbox. Once you're in e-commerce or digital products, so like coaching, ebooks, physical books, all those types of things, once you have that email and you have that correspondence back and forth with them, the email service provider now knows it's okay to let all the guards down and let this email pass through.
Mhm.
So brands don't they frequently do not focus on that. Almost all of their revenue could come from their email, but they keep spending more money on ads. So the cost of acquisition of a new customer stays very high because they're not focusing on retention. So
Mhm.
the main thing that I do when I'm looking for brands that I want to onboard, the first thing that you can do is just go on their website. So if you've got a bunch of clients, you maybe as a marketer, you set up the website. Is there a pop-up? Is there something that's trying to get the email address from a visitor on the site? And if there is a pop-up, is it something like 20% off? Is it something like 10% off? Is it something like a free book? One thing I really like to say is if they don't have a pop-up at all, there are about 9 more things that you can put in place on the automated side that will generate a ton of revenue. Just putting a pop-up will generate a ton more email addresses, a good pop-up. But the other 9 things like sequences like cart abandonment, browse abandonment, thank you sequences, welcome sequences, all of these things can create massive amounts of revenue. People have seen anywhere from 30% increased revenue in the first 30 days to doubling their revenue year over year just by putting sequences. We're not even talking copy. We're just talking sequences. So there's a lot of stuff just looking at, do they have a pop-up? And if they have a pop-up, is it like everybody else's pop-up? If that's the case, if it's not like, hey, here's a free something with your next order, then there's a lot we can do. Like there's a ton. And on the e-com side, so for the lead generation side, we have very low costs. Like we charge for the tech setup, which is a little bit more expensive than the ongoing tech maintenance, but regardless, it's all very low. But for the e-commerce side, typically what I do for now, before I'm too busy, is that I do work for free. I at least do a consultation for free and give you a laundry list of things to do. And if that increases your revenue, then from there, we do a contract of revenue share. So as long as I do my job right and I get more revenue and maintain more revenue, then that means more money for both of us. So it's a really good system either way. For the pricing structure, in case you didn't see it in the email or you're hopping on here, you didn't see the email at all. For the pricing structure on the lead generation, it's pretty similar. We do have the tech setup and the tech ongoing maintenance, and that's variable depending on how big your campaign has to be. Sometimes there's no, like I got a 50% reply rate based on cold outreach, positive reply rate on cold outreach that was not automated. So some cases it is better to do a non-automated cold outreach, but for the most part you need automated, and that could be anywhere from $50 a month to a couple thousand a month, depending on how big your campaigns have to be. So, but most people are within the 100 to 250 per month range. And then we never charge. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna kind of comment on what you were just mentioning.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a client tomorrow or a case tomorrow that's talks just about the structure fee, because our biggest part is we want to be able to help, right? We don't want this to be like necessarily like a big burden on the firm or you for that matter.
Right.
So a big part is and in with the client that we're having tomorrow is discussing how we can make it work on both sides from a financial aspect. But the biggest aspect is we don't really make money until the client makes money, until they start closing deals from the services that we've rendered them. That's when cash starts to come into the door, which has been quite attractive to the individual that we're going to speak with tomorrow anyway. So this is imperative, because I think this is something that the one that differentiates us, because a lot of agencies might just do pay per call, or there's a high startup fee, which you have to lay out a lot of cash up front before you've seen any results. For us, it's quite the opposite, in all honesty.
Yeah, it goes back to the 30% is the offer. It's just for one, it's just common sense, right? Like there are so many lead generation agencies out there, so many people from all around the world claiming that they can make you a ton of money. I talked to a brand the other day, Collard Greens, and he said for 20 years he has had marketers totally hammering him. I know we got to go in just a second, but I'll wrap it up here. He's had marketers hammering him. He gets 12 cold DMs per day. He's a direct competitor to Vineyard Vines. And wow. And he said he gets constant DMs, constant emails. He never ever answers any of them, because for 20 years they've always made big promises of here's what I'll do and here's going to be the cost. He's like, well, why don't you do that? If it works, I've got more than enough money to spend on you. And none of them take him up on it. And so, and he let his guard down one time, and this marketer completely screwed him. That he paid enormous amounts of money and barely broke even. And
Wow.
so he said from there on, he just didn't take marketing calls. And so he took mine, and I didn't know any of that. I just offered, I was like, hey, let me do this for a month or so. If it works, cool. If not, no harm, no foul. But if it works, you can keep me on. And he's like, I've been asking people to do that for 20 years. That's the thing, is like, so many people won't do it this way because for a whole bunch of reasons, but it's backwards, right? You need to lead with value. And we think that marketing agencies should also lead with value. And we want to produce that messaging on behalf of you and on behalf of your customers, because it is just the way that our brains work. We want to see value before we give money. And too many people are asking for the opposite, and people are kind of tired of it. So anyway,
you're 1000% right.
If you are a marketing agency, or even if you stumbled on this website and you're not a marketing agency, right? We still take on our own clients.
That was the other thing I also wanted to mention. Yes, obviously this video is for marketing agencies, but we do more than just that industry. As I mentioned, I'm working in finance. I've worked in finance, and the client that we're seeing tomorrow is in that space, is in the financial sector. So it's not just marketing agencies. As I said, every industry has this problem. It's all the same problem. It's just different industry.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So if you're anybody that's jiving with what I'm saying and what Sal's saying and what we're doing, we can definitely fill a massive hole in your business and generate a lot of revenue. And we really are serious about, we want to generate you revenue before we get revenue. We think that's the way it should be. We're just both dudes at Principal, just happen to find each other on the internet. And so over the past long while, we've worked a lot together. And so now we are the Inbox Bros, because we do all things email, and we're very excited about it. We do a lot of hard work on your behalf, so definitely somewhere on this screen you can get a hold of us
to the next or whichever, or you can send us an email and inquire more.
Yes, and as it said at the bottom of the email, we do give a warning, because these kinds of things are known to the state of California to produce extra revenue. So you must handle with care if you don't want to have extra moolah in your bank. So anyway. All right. That's enough for now. I'm sure this video is like 40 minutes long. So thank you for watching all the way to the end. Sal, thank you for your time. I'm sorry all of the IT stuff is a headache, but
it's okay.
We'll roll. All right. Talk to you later, man.
All right. I'll see you later, man. All right. Bye.
Bye.